Thank you everyone so much for coming. We're really happy that you're here for our last scheduled Tuffy's Tops Tips for this summer. Thank you so much for coming. We've really loved everyone's participation. We're really happy you're here and hope you're excited to learn about everything has to do with your academic life today. So to start us off, my name is Kayla Ward, and I'm a NOTA graduate intern for Titan orientation programs this summer. And I've had the pleasure of working with a great group of orientation leaders to coordinate these Tuffy's Tops Tips webinars. So this webinar series is really focused on the student experience, and they're all student-led. So the orientation leaders themselves will build a presentation for you based off what they think is most important for you to know as an incoming Titan. And they've been very excited to give you all this information today. We have a lot of good stuff, some virtual learning tips coming towards the end in our Q&A. The first half will be a presentation where we can give you all of those Tuffy's Tops tips and plug some resources for you. And then the latter half is really where you get to have like conversations with the orientation leaders. We have a set questions to ask our panelists, and they'll give you all the inside scoop on their experiences and what tips they have. So we're really excited for that. But without further ado, I want to start before we go into the presentation with some introductions of who we have with us today. So Val, why don't you go ahead and start us off with those?
Hello, thank you guys again for coming and joining us. My name is Valerie Salazar, and my major is biochemistry. Some of my campus involvements include the biochemistry club and of course a student orientation leader. And I'll go ahead and pass it on to Greg.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Greg Medina. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a criminal justice major and a philosophy major here at Cal State Fullerton. I'm going into my 5th year, hopefully graduating in the fall. And some campus involvements I have is being part of the Pre-Law Society as well as the Criminal Justice Student Association. And best of all, I'm a Titan orientation leader. And with that being said, I'll pass on to Sammy.
Hey everyone, my name is Sammy Sanchez. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a psychology major going into my 4th year. Some of my campus involvements include being involved in the psych research department, and of course, I'm an orientation leader. So I'll pass it off to Cassandra.
All right, hey everyone, I'm Cassandra Valadez. I'm a 2nd year public health major. My pronouns are she and her. On campus, I'm involved with TOPS as an orientation leader, as well as employed with ASI as a setup crew assistant. With that, I'll go ahead and pass it off to Gabby.
Hi y'all, my name is Gabby. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a 3rd year transfer student and a psychology major. At Cal State Fullerton, I've been involved in the Latinx Student Psychological Association, as well as the Humanities and Social Sciences Interclub Council.
Awesome. So those are people going to be doing our presentation for you today. And why don't we go ahead and also introduce our panelists and those helping in the chat today.
Hey everybody, I'm Taylor Livingston. I'm going on my 2nd year at Cal State Fullerton, and I am currently studying computer science and also going to be studying a business degree with the concentration in business analytics. My pronouns are she, her, and some involvements that I'm on in campus is the WISE program, which is the Women in Computer Science and Engineering, as well as the TOPS program, which is our Titan orientation leaders. And that, I'll take it on to Alyssa.
Hey everybody, my name is Elisa. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a communications major with a concentration in public relations. I also have a philosophy minor and a marketing minor. I'm going into my 3rd year, which is insane. It felt like it went by really fast. And I'm an orientation leader at Cal State Fullerton, but I'm also in our school's PSSA chapter, which is Public Relations Student Society of America. And I'm currently the Vice President of Professional Development for this coming semester. And with that, I'll pass over to Carl.
All right, hello everyone, my name is Carl, pronouns he and his. I'm a biology major going to my 4th year. And a few things I'm involved in on campus is that I'm part of the student government called Associated Students Incorporated. I'm kind of like a representative of the Natural Science Mathematics College. I'm also part of a professional biology fraternity here on campus, and best of all, orientation leader. And then I'll pass it on to Ming, but he's not here right now, but that's Ming, so yeah.
Yes, Ming is another great member of our orientation team, but is feeling a little under the weather today, so he's not able to join us now, but I'm sure would be willing to answer your questions if you ever saw him on campus. So Those are just a few introductions before we get started, and we will revisit our panelists towards the end so we can get the inside scoop on all their experiences. And then I forgot to mention earlier, we'll also have time for any additional questions that you have. If you'd like to pose a question to the panelists, you can put that in the Q&A feature as well. So don't be shy, put all your questions there. We have people ready to help you with that. But without further ado, I will pass it back to Greg so he can get us started with our presentation today.
All right, hello once again. So hello, fellow Titans. This is our academic life webinar in which we will share tips and provide helpful information with some added student experience to help you be better prepared for your academic journey at Cal State Fullerton. So let's begin with some declaring majors and minors. Okay, so each college has different procedures for declaring a major or minor, so be sure to talk with advisors from specific major you want to change your major to. And many majors and minors have different prerequisites, and you should always discuss with an advisor to learn about the requirements, the prerequisites, and the concentration choices for that major or minor. Filling out an undergraduate change of academic objective is necessary for the major/minor to appear on your Titan degree audit. And adding your first minor requires no fee, but changing your major, there will be a $10 charge onto your account. And you need a signature from the chair of the department in order for it to be processed by the admissions of records and for it to appear on your Titan degree audit. And if anyone is wondering where the admissions, the office of admissions at, it's in Lanesdorf Hall 114. And with that being said, Cal State Fullerton offers 110 degree programs, and 55 of them are undergraduate. And if you're curious as to what majors and minors are offered at Cal State Fullerton, you could search up the college you are interested in, and their website has a tab that'll show you the minors/majors available under that college. For example, if you want to check out the majors and minors in the humanities and social sciences, you can do so by visiting their website. And the same thing is done for any other majors such as the natural science and mathematics. And yeah, I'm going to share a link so you could just see the form for the undergraduate academic change of objective if you're interested in declaring a minor or major, and I'll share that in the chat. And with that being said, I'll pass on to Sammy.
Okay, hey y'all. I'll be talking about your Titan degree audit, which Greg touched on a little bit, better known as your TDA. So you'll be hearing this phrase a lot during your time at Cal State Fullerton, so it's better to get familiar with it as soon as possible so that way you're not overwhelmed in the last minute. Okay, so your TDA shows all of the courses you need to graduate. And like I said, it may seem overwhelming, but a little reminder is that you do not need to take every single course on your TDA. So what you see under each section are classes you can take to satisfy that specific requirement, whether it be 1 unit, 3 unit, 6, or even 9. For comparison's sake, I threw my TDA on the slide. So as you can see in the top image, I'm about 3/4 of the way to finishing my degree. However, there are some units that I have not taken in terms of general education, specifically under my C3 category. So if you look at the bottom image, you can see the list of hundreds of different courses I can take to satisfy those units. And I only need 3 units, so it's 1 class out of that whole list. In regard to your specific major requirements, that can be found at the very bottom of your TDA, and it's just a list of the different courses that you need. A quick tip I have with your GE course is that pick one that you find interesting. Y'all might be wondering why in the slide I emphasize you. I mean, it seems kind of obvious that you're supposed to pick the classes that you like, right? Not always. So some of the advisors I've had the pleasure of working with have mentioned that some students ask them what GEs they should take. And I think it's better to look through your TDA, click on each course, and see if you would enjoy any of the classes, and then hold off on asking your advisor which one you should take, especially because there's hundreds, so they're going to recommend hundreds. So I'm going to drop a link that serves as a cute little web tutorial for requesting, processing, and interpreting your Titan degree audit. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a biggie. So this is for adding and dropping classes. These are some important dates that you should know for this upcoming semester. So I recommend taking a picture or writing it down just so you're totally aware and you're not blindsided. I'll go ahead and recite the dates out loud for those of you who may not be able to see the screen. So August 21st is the last day to register without the $25 late fee. August 22nd through the 30th, there are no signatures required to add and drop most classes. August 31st to September 8th, department issued registration permit to register and add all classes. September 8th is the last day of registration with a $25 late fee and the last day to add most classes with the permit. And that is also the last day to drop classes without a grade of W. So in terms of adding and dropping, so adding, that's done just like when you originally registered for classes. So you go student portal, enroll, and then select semester, in this case, fall 2020, and then you search for the class or specific course, semester, or professor that you're looking for. Dropping is a little different. So prior to classes beginning, you can pretty much drop courses without having to sign a form or any consequence really. After that, you'll have to fill out a withdrawal form from the Registrations and Records Office, and they will either approve or deny it based on your case. If you have more specific questions about a course you're looking to drop, it's best to contact your advisor directly because they'll provide you with more detailed, tailored to you answers. And I'll drop the link to academic advising. And the most important thing to remember is that if you do not apply to withdraw from a class, then it will show up the same as if you failed that class. So make sure you fill out that form.
All right, hey everyone, I'll be talking about buying textbooks. So the first thing you're going to want to do is check My Textbooks. You can find that in your Student Center under the academic section. So once you click on My Textbooks, you're going to be taken to a page where it shows you the term that you want to select. You're going to want to go ahead and select your fall 2020 term. Then it'll redirect you to the Titan Shop page where it will show all of your classes and the textbooks or other required resources that your professors have chosen for that class. For textbooks options, there's a physical or digital option. Purchasing, you can buy new or used and also rent new or used. If you do choose to buy, I highly suggest reselling the textbooks after the semester so you can make at least some money back from that. And you also want to check other websites to compare prices and see if you can get the cheapest option. I personally use slugbooks.com, and I've also used from that website, I found A-Books and Amazon to provide cheap options for my classes. I'll go ahead and pass it on to Gabby.
Hi, everybody. So I know a lot of folks come into a four-year university like Cal State Fullerton, and maybe throughout community college or high school, you haven't really had to study much. You kind of just went to class and took notes, and then that was the end of it, and you did well. But the four-year university has a little bit more academic rigor than other forms of like higher ed. So studying is a skill that doesn't always come naturally to most people. So some common study tips include like taking detailed notes while in class. I know it's really tempting to think that you can remember everything and understand concepts later, but then you get home and you're looking at the homework and it like looks like a different language. But even like just the physical act of writing is helpful for creating neural pathways for memory. And then on that same note, review your notes frequently before and after class lectures. So if you have a class on Monday, maybe Monday night, review your notes. And then if you have that same class on Wednesday morning before class, check out your notes again, just to kind of like jog your memory. Try joining a study group. So if you feel really confident in the material and you totally know what you're doing, it's really helpful to join a study group because teaching others helps with memory. And if you feel lost and you don't know what's going on at all, having your peers explain it to you might really help you understand it better than just the one perspective of a professor. Also, don't wait right before a quiz or exam to study. Reviewing notes over time is way more effective than trying to cram everything in at once. Actively engage with material by creating like study guides or concept maps, even like doodles of the material. Just rereading notes and textbooks is really boring and it isn't helpful. So definitely try to like really make the material your own. And then contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be like struggling in a class to use the University Learning Center. So I'll talk a little bit more about the University Learning Center in depth now, but it's our form of tutoring. So it's located in the Pollock Library, and it offers one-on-one tutoring sessions with certified tutors for most undergraduate GE courses. So courses that are 100 and 200 level GEs. They also have group tutoring. So if you have some friends or other people that you've met in a study group and they're in the same class as you, you can schedule one appointment and then y'all can all show up as like a little squad to study. It's a really great resource on campus. You can schedule one 30-minute tutoring session 3 times a week. So basically 3 days a week, you can have a 30-minute tutoring session. And that even works for like, it's each student. So if you got your squad, y'all could actually have like a 30-minute session each day if you wanted to. So that's kind of a way to hack the system. But yeah, it's an awesome resource, and I'll drop the links and how you can contact them in the chat.
Cool, thank you, Gabby. Now I'll be talking about one of the many additional services that the university offers for you to help you succeed with your academics. So one of them would be the Writing Center, which is located in the Polak Library. And the resources are now offered through Zoom. And there you can edit your papers, you can have someone edit it for you, you can get help with revising, editing, or just if you want to get some ideas flowing for your papers, they can help you as well. So you can book through appointments through the Zoom link that, through the link that I put down below. Also, there is supplemental instruction, also known as SI. Supplemental instruction is an academic assistance program that provides weekly peer-led group study sessions for students taking difficult courses. So it does count as 1 unit, credit, no credit. And these are, SI is offered only for some classes, so you can see that when adding your classes or picking your classes, you can see if that class has SI. Under it show as the class name, and then, or whatever subject you're taking, and then it show as a W following that, and it stands for workshop. So for example, I took Math 125, and then also when registering to see what teacher or what professor I wanted to choose, I was able to see that there was SI for that, and it said Math 125 workshop. So you can just add it to your cart, and it counts as credit, no credit. It's great for extra help, especially in the more difficult classes. So another great way is attending office hours. Never be afraid to ask for help. You can also use your free time or time in between classes. If you have that spare time, you can go to office hours or schedule appointments with your professors. Their office hours are always located in the syllabus, and it's a great way for the professors, for you and your professors, to build that relationship, and also you're able to demonstrate to them that you actually care. Another great way is tutoring, and there's many different tutoring opportunities on campus. For example, the Natural Science and Mathematics, also known as NSM, offers free tutoring, peer-led via Zoom. So the sessions are also 30 minutes, and I have put the link down below if you ever would like to reference these slides to get to tutoring. The ULC, University Learning Center, as well as Gabby was mentioning, has free tutors for most subjects, as well as the 30-minute sessions. And then Mahalo Hall also has tutoring for business and economics. Now I'll be talking about if you're ever struggling with your classes, or you need extra help, you need advice. I think the most important thing is not to panic. We're always here for you guys. Also, your professors and your advisors is really important for you to build that relationship with your professors. Speak to them. They have many options. They know what can help you, as well as your academic advisor and your major advisor as well. When I was struggling during my first semester, I turned to them first for advice, and then I was able to see, always be open to other options, classes, other professors. One professor's teaching style may not work for you, so you can always switch professors. Just be aware of the dates of dropping and adding classes so that you're not fined for it. Also, the Student Support Services, also known as SSS, you'll hear that a lot, provides information on study skills, stress management, and even procrastination. And I have put the link down for their website so you can find more details about it as well. And the Academic Advisement Center, very important. The AAC provides information on dropping courses, academic probation, and strategies for efficiently raising your GPA. So I'll go ahead and put that link down as well in the chat, and then I'll pass it on now to
Sammy. That's me. Okay. So the more you know, okay? So you've probably been hearing some terms that are totally unfamiliar, like asynchronous and part-time student, and you're like, huh? And I know I was the first time I heard the word synchronous, and I was like, okay. So I'm going to break it down and explain what some of these terms mean. So full-time versus part-time student. A part-time student, part-time students are enrolled in 0 to 6 units per semester. That's usually 0 to 2 classes. And full-time students are enrolled in 7 or more units per semester, typically 3 to 6 classes. Tuition varies based on what kind of student you are, but campus-based fees remain the same. Now, asynchronous versus synchronous online classes. So when you were enrolling, you probably noticed these terms under the course section description, and I'm going to break it down. So asynchronous means that your class will not require you to be present at specific days and times. This is pretty much done on your own time. However, there will be deadlines that you have to meet with your professors, so be wary of those. And you'll notice that under some of the asynchronous classes, the course date and time says TBA. It's totally fine. That just means it's asynchronous. And synchronous means that your class will meet on specific days. And this will be done through Zoom, the Titanium chat function, or another platform that your professor decides to use. I threw on a few of my classes for the upcoming semester so y'all could see what I'm talking about. The top course is fully online and asynchronous. The middle course is synchronous because we do have to meet 1 day a week, which is Mondays. And the bottom course is TBA, which just means it's asynchronous and fully online. So that's a little summary of these different, more recently used terms. If you have questions about other terms you've heard that you're not familiar with, feel free to drop them in the Q&A and we'll do our best to answer. Okay, so building relationships with your professors. Networking and connecting with your professors, I cannot stress, is so crucial to your college and academic career. Coming in the forms of like letters of rec, research opportunities, even being cool enough to round up your grade, wink, wink. So here's some ways to build these connections. The first, participate in class. It's pretty much the easiest, most effective thing you can do. Asking and answering questions is going to help the professor see that you're serious about their class and they will remember your face. And that can be done on Zoom too. Just throw in your 2 cents every once in a while and they're going to be like, I remember that person. Next, office hours, which Val touched on a little bit. So you'll usually find your professor's office hours on the first page of their syllabus. This semester, the majority of professors will most likely be holding their office hours online via Zoom, strictly through email, Doxy, etc. So be aware of the platform they decide to use. And like I said, I can't stress this enough. Go visit your professor, even if it's online. They're being paid to sit in their office to help you with their class. So take advantage of that. And like with participation, seeing you in their office or on their Zoom, they're going to remember who you are. Even if you're not struggling with the course, go introduce yourself or pretend to have a question. I've done that plenty of times. It just kind of shows that you're interested and it's going to increase the likelihood of developing a connection with them. And finally, we have teaching and research assistants. So a lot of professors will not allow you to TA their courses if you haven't had them before or you haven't taken that specific course. So hold off on asking until you've taken their class. A tip, ask about a possible TA position towards the later/middle end of the course. This is when they're beginning to prepare their curriculums for the next semester. So they're going to be looking for TAs. Now on to research positions. So not every professor does research on campus. So a little tip is to ask them or check online first. And every college's online site for research is different. And I mean colleges in terms of College of Humanities, College of Arts, etc. So the best thing you can do is Google Cal State University Fullerton Research Assistant plus your major. That's how I found mine. And you can also look on Titan Connection, which is a site that we have for jobs, internships, research assistants, and I'll drop that link in the chat. And another tip that I'm going to stress so hard if you're really interested in research is to remember November. This is when most professors are refining their projects and updating them and looking for new assistants, so keep an eye out. I personally have been involved in a psychology research lab with Dr. Ella Ben-Hagai since December, and it has been an amazing experience being able to work with others and create surveys, we analyze data, and so much more. Not to mention the great networking experience I'm obtaining with my professor and my colleagues. So, November. On that note, I'll pass it off to Greg.
Alrighty, so time management is something we all have in the back of our mind, but procrastination usually pushes it aside. So here are some tips that will help improve your time management skills. So the first one is organize. Organize yourself and utilize tools such as lists, calendars, reminders on phones, and planners, to-do lists. There are many other ways to organize yourself, such as having a binder, but these mentioned are what have helped me stay on track during my academic journey. And an example that I would organize was taking each syllabus that I was given by my class and putting them in my planner / calendar and looking at important dates, reading assignments when they're due, and just putting them in there so I cannot get surprised by what's due. I will know that there's a research project due at the third week of the semester, or I won't be surprised by due dates. So I highly recommend to organize. And the second tip that I could give to you all is prioritize. Prioritizing means that you are assigning importance to which task that you are looking at. So some tasks or assignments can be pushed back to another day just because they're not as important. And it is very important that you do this because you want to assign a task that's of greater importance to yourself to do first before you do something that is due in like 3 or 4 days that you could do and you could put aside for a later date. And then the third tip for time management is to police yourself. Always police yourself and do daily checkups. Arguably, I think that this is the most important step because it actually puts organization and prioritization to work. Without doing daily checkups, you won't check up on your calendar and you won't prioritize anything. You're just going to be going with the flow, and all the work you did in organizing your syllabus is worthless because you're not putting it to use. So I'm guilty of doing this. In previous semesters, I had a philosophy class 420 metaphysics, and I dreaded that class because it was so difficult and I had to put a lot of energy in the reading assignments. So I would find myself doing other assignments or other readings due 3 days down the line because I didn't want to read the metaphysics, which is a very, very bad thing to do because now you're going to have to cram this difficult reading 15 to 30 minutes before class, and I don't suggest that. And just do mental checkups. These mental checkups are greatly important because you can wake up in the morning and say, okay, I have this class, I have this due, and this due, and you could just have yourself a little mental structure of what you're going to do throughout the day. And at the end of the day, you could check in again mentally or with the planner, or you don't have to spend a whole hour or 30 minutes doing this checkup. It's just a quick mental checkup that you can say, okay, so I did this today, I did this today, I did this today, what's for tomorrow, So that's something that I highly suggest for people to do. And here, just an example of just to keep in mind is ask yourself every day if you're behind or if you're ahead. Figure out what's putting you behind. And if it's something like I commonly find myself doing, if you're falling behind because of TikTok, make sure that you put that aside so you can do readings, you can do other things. Or are you hanging out with friends too long, going out to eat, you're like, hey, let's go get something out to eat. Next thing you know, 2 hours in, you realize that you forgot to do the reading for tomorrow morning's class, and now you have to cram it, and now you're gonna get no sleep. So always make sure you're figuring out why you're behind, and make sure that you're also not overcrowding your schedule and putting too much on your plate. You might get a burst of energy and wake up one day and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this. And you have 5 assignments / tasks to do during the day. And that's bad because you'll most likely, the first or second task, you'll bang out and you'll do really quick, but then they might be tasks that might take too long. And now you're behind, and now you're stressed. So overcrowding your schedule will just lead to anxiety and stress because of the fact that you did not complete all your assignments that you thought you could do in one day. So one last thing before I pass it on to Cassandra is just to not get so wrapped up in deadlines and due dates, and learn that we're all human and we all have our limits. Overworking tends to lead to anxiety and stress, both of which aren't healthy for you. So if you ever find yourself in a stressful or an anxiety-filled situation, make sure to check out resources such as you at Fullerton to take care of your wellness, because that's more important than making sure you finish the 5 things on your to-do list for that day. So with that being said, I'll pass it on to Cassandra.
So now that we finished our presentation, we'll go ahead and get into our questions for the panelists. So the first question would be, How have you worked with your professors, and what has your experience with them been like?
I can definitely answer that. I think when it comes to especially more challenging classes, it's better to be able to communicate with your professors. If you have a question or if you just even confused about something, always just go talk to them. And I think they're always open to listen. I mean, there might be some professors that might be busy and might just, kind of push you away, but there's always some good professors out there who are willing to help, who are willing to see you succeed. So I think just talking to them and then just being open with them is always great.
Yes, definitely. So my greatest advice for anyone that continues to go to Cal State Fullerton is to, if you really like a class, like for example, I really like this communications class. It was Mass Media and Society, and I took it with Professor Erickson, and she was great. I ended up sending her a thank you email at the end of the semester, just saying like, this was my first semester at Cal State Fullerton and I really liked your class. And I went into detail about what I liked about it. And she ended up offering me a position, a TA position with her. And I ended up being her TA for 2 semesters, and it was one of the best experiences I had at Cal State Fullerton. So my greatest advice as a student and later on in your career is the importance of sending thank you notes. Thank you notes are really important, and a lot of the times you think that it's not worth it or they're not even going to read it, but for sure they're going to read it and they're going to love it. So definitely consider sending thank you notes to some of your professors.
Yeah, but well said from both the panelists. And also something like they said like most of the things really well, but something I would like to add is also like, well, for me, for one of my chemistry classes, I went to office hours where I got actually studying in, and from that, I honestly I felt like I got a higher letter grade than I should have, and than I did if I didn't go to the office hours with working with my professor. And also that kind of also like led to like a a letter of recommendation as well, right? Because some schools, if you're planning to go to a graduate school, med school, whatever school, they'll definitely ask you for letter of recommendations, and that's also a really good way to receive some. It's definitely, I feel like everything was well covered. And also, don't forget to also talk to your student success teams as well. Student success teams and student success centers, really talk to them, and then that's honestly how I got into this program, the orientation. So definitely they might lead you to some other programs as well that they're involved in. Yeah.
Thank you. Now we'll go ahead and go to our second question. And that would be, what advice would you give to someone who feels like they are struggling academically?
That is a very good question, especially for those tough majors out there. Like for me, computer science and maybe even adding like a little business in there is definitely tough academically. And I would say that you gotta know what you can handle. I think Greg said it earlier, you said it perfectly. You gotta know what you can handle. You gotta prioritize your schedule, because if you put too much, I've had an experience where I took 19 units because I also went to I'm a dual enrollment student, so I go to Fullerton College, the junior college, and Cal State Fullerton. So I was like, yeah, I could take on 19 units, no problem. Yeah, no, I ended up dropping a class and I didn't do too well in a class. So just make sure you know what you can handle, because you'll be able to manage your stress a lot better, which is key to succeeding. And then you're just able to feel a lot better when you're actually going through your classes as well. So definitely know what you can handle.
Something that I will mention, and this is definitely something I'm guilty of, is the minute you see something or you're struggling with a concept in a class and you think, I'll just figure it out when I get to the exam and it's fine. And, I'll just forget about it until the exam comes up and I'll study really, really hard. That sometimes doesn't always work. And I've definitely done this in the past and I don't recommend it. You should definitely, if you come to a concept that you're struggling with, ask professors or go to the tutoring hours or sometimes even ask your TAs. I wouldn't recommend just letting that simmer, because it definitely doesn't help, and it'll make you struggle a lot more later on. But also know that people are there to help you, like we've said in the past. A lot of people really want to see you succeed, so you're definitely not alone. Also, if you're struggling, it can be tough sometimes, but there is always a way out for anything that you're struggling with academically.
Yeah, definitely. I've been in many situations where it's like, dang, I need to improve my scores, right? I need to do better on this next test. And I would like to say that what people have told me and what I've told other people is that definitely quality studying over quantity studying may help. It depends, every person's different, but I like to say the better studying, right? Like actually focusing maybe and focusing for an hour or two instead of staying on one book for 6 hours, right? That could definitely change the way that you absorb information. Also, don't be afraid to try new ways of studying as well when you're struggling academically, right? Like I know some people who study for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break, then go back to the 15 minutes after 2 hours, and that works for them. I know some people who study for 1 whole hour, take an hour break, then go back to it. That works for them as well. Everything's different. As long as you find your routine and what works for you, stick to your plan. Also, if someone might invite you to a study group and say, hey, do you want to study with us? It'd be really cool. If that doesn't work for you, don't be afraid to say no to that as well. Because I know sometimes I felt obligated to go, and I was like, no, it's okay, right? So definitely, do what works for you, right? And let's say you do feel pressure to go to that study session. Make sure that you knew the stuff before, so that then you're actually getting your practice. It's definitely find what's best for you.
Right, as well as finding what's right for you, I think takes a bit of experience as well. So I know my first semester I was struggling a bit. As a biochem major, I had to take math, I had bio, I had chemistry classes, I had labs to do. So I kind of overwhelmed myself a bit, but finding that balance, also spacing out your classes, maybe having one GE and then kind of a hard class together with that kind of helped me as well. So know what works for you, something that might work for your friend, not might work for you, and that's totally okay. As well as many professors have many different teaching styles, and one teaching style that they do might not work for you as well as another professor. So always be open to other options, as well as talking to your professors and major advisors or academic advisors. They know a lot. They help students have been in the same situation, so they give great advice as well. So next we'll go ahead and go on to the next question, and that is, how do you maintain balance with school and personal life?
That is a great question. School and personal life, that's just life itself when you think about it. You got to make sure you choose your friends wisely. I would definitely say that, because sometimes you have friends who just all want to hang out, who go to college and think that they could just roll with it. But sometimes you have friends that are really into it and they really want to get where they want to go. And I think it's good to just be able to, I think Sammy said it in the chat, the study app, finding a study app is really good because you're able to manage your time and you're able to tell your friends or tell someone, hey, I have to take this time to study. Or sometimes you have study groups with your friends. You can go to the library and study, and you guys, even though you're separate majors, you guys can still help each other and study. But just making sure your time management skills are really key. And you, like I said before, what you can handle. So say if your friend wants to go to a basketball game or something, but you have a big exam coming up, you have to tell them, hey, I can't go to the basketball game. I have to study for my big exam coming up to, I guess, tomorrow, if you will. And then you'll be like, hey, I got to do this. And then hopefully, I'm hoping they'll say, okay, yeah, go ahead and do it. You got this, study hard, or whatever your friend may say. But you just got to know, I'm going to just keep saying it. And Greg said it well, like I said, I'm going to just keep saying it. You got to know what you can handle, because if you can't handle a big personal life, then it's going to be hard to also manage school as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely some really good advice. There is a difference though, you know, when you're talking about having friends and work and stuff like that. And there's also things that you don't expect that happens. And you know, that will happen, and you may have your fair share of stuff that's unexpected that happens during the semester. It's very difficult to feel like you can continue sometimes, but you know, leaning on people that care about you is really helpful. Like what Taylor said, finding your group of people. I got really lucky. I found people that we all have like similar goals, and they were farther along their college career. They ended up graduating a few years before me, and so they're blazing the way in their professional career. But they were able to kind of explain things to me that I thought were very stupid questions, like, oh, what is a cover letter? What's a resume? How do I talk to people? And they were just very welcoming and nice, and helped me kind of figure out my own path. But back to things that are unexpected that happens, you know, you can definitely take time for yourself. You know, there is that opportunity to do that. And something that I really love about Fullerton is that they really care about their students, it feels like, and a lot of the professors I've had care about them as well. And you know, sharing something that's very personal that's going on with you, and trying to get things that to help solve that problem is definitely possible. And I can tell that our campus culture is kind of moving towards something more mental health wise versus constantly grinding and then letting your mental health kind of slip away. Like something that we implemented is the U at Fullerton, which I think the link is in the chat, and I highly recommend doing that. But yeah, overall, if you need time to just deal with things, you should take time to just deal with things.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm not sure what else I can add. Everyone said it. Everyone said things like really well, like really well spoken. I think something I guess I can add is for the maintaining balance is that definitely like it's really hard to do school, right? If you know, if things are going on in your personal life, right? And it's hard to deal with things in your personal life if stuff is going on in your school life, right? So it's kind of hard to, you know, choose your priorities, you know, just make sure that you know, you're able to absorb the information, right? If you want to focus on your school first. I think it's kind of like this, yeah, I think Tyler said the best as well. Like, just, you know, you gotta know what you gotta handle. And yeah, you know, just definitely just, it's like, you know, I'd say like the first semester at Cal State Fullerton, either if you're a transfer student or if you're a first year, it's definitely a good way to, you know, analyze where you're at. And it's definitely like, that's a good starting point to say, okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, this is where I need to be. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. So next question would be, do you have any additional time management tips?
Kind of like I said before, a study app is good. It can, we've kind of, all of us have kind of talked about it, you know, having that certain time, like 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off, maybe, or an hour on, or whatever you prefer studying. Another thing is a planner. Planner is super helpful. A checklist if you needed. A calendar app on your iPhone is probably even also helpful as well. But I know for me, a planner has helped me through so much. And sometimes, like for me personally, I love pens. I love color pens and stuff. So I always color code my classes so then I could keep track of what I'm doing for each class. So then I'm not just all looking at a grayscale of pencil in my planner. And another thing is stickers sometimes. I also Post-it notes, like little knickknacks and stuff that help me just set reminders for myself to either study or say I have an event going on that I have to attend for like a internship or like for a webinar. And I would like write that down on sticky notes, stick it to my wall, and it'll remind me that I have to do something later. Or if I have an exam or something, I'll write that down, say, hey, study today, or hey, you got to study for at least an hour today. Just setting goals and having a planner, in my personal opinion, I think that's helped me so much with my time management.
Procrastination is definitely something that we all probably deal with. One thing that I love to do is I'll have like one list of big tasks that I have to accomplish, like write the essay, finish the presentation, send the email or something like that. And then on a separate list, I'll write the little things that I have to do. So like today I'm going to set this due date for myself to write the introduction for the essay, or I'm going to write the second body paragraph of the essay, or I'm going to send the email. That is something I do struggle with. Like there are very little tasks that I put off and put off and put off because it's very easy to put them off. But starting your day with a very small task kind of sets you into the mindset of like, okay, I'm going to keep doing productive things today. But yeah, I recommend to-do lists, but breaking them down into separate tasks so they feel less like a big monster over your head.
Definitely. And also, I think we said this before as well. Calendars, right? Online calendars is great. Outlook, since we switched to Outlook, I think Outlook has a great calendar personally. I've added everything, right? And it's actually pretty cool because other people can see your availabilities if you put your calendar into Outlook, which I thought was really cool. Also, something I like to add with like the time management stuff, like if you have something done, reward yourself, right? Like let's say, oh, I just finished this big essay. It took me like 5 hours, whatever. Get yourself some ice cream or something, or some boba, right? A cherry tea, whatever. I've done that before as well. Yeah, so I feel like just as long as you can find a balance and you make sure that you know your dates and in the calendar, you should be fine. It's also priorities. Make sure that like you don't prioritize something that's like not like your class when something important is going on. Of course, is going to upcome or come, and yeah, there we go.
Right. Definitely with the calendar, that really helped me. I know since our classes are now kind of virtual, writing stuff down and having it somewhere, putting that calendar somewhere where I can see it every day definitely helped me to remind me what it was I had to do, setting those goals for myself as well. So now we will be talking about our experiences with virtual learning. And that question for you would be, how was your experience with virtual learning and what tips do you have for the upcoming online semester?
Virtual learning has definitely been a struggle for me. I am a person who loves to go on campus, who loves to be in an in-person classroom environment. I just love the social aspect of what Cal State Fullerton offers because I feel like I'm a college student, like I'm walking on a university. I love it. Got coffee in the morning. By the way, we have 3 Starbucks on campus and the Aloha Java, can't forget that. But anyway, back to the question. So it's definitely been a challenge, having classes online, not being able to really communicate with a lot of people. But I would say maybe from some tips that I've experienced that have come up and tried and helped me through my semester is definitely emailing your professor if you have a question. I would say for most of the time, if you have a question about anything, especially since you can't really communicate in person, emailing is probably a really big tip I would give. And then time management, kind of like what we talked about earlier, a planner or a list or something to help you keep up with your studies and keep up with keeping you accountable of your homework and stuff that's due, setting due dates, and just making sure, like even like Carl said, rewarding yourself. You're in your home, so you're able to go downstairs and make something to eat, maybe grab a bag of chips or something. You're able to, how like there's some classes where you can't eat in classes. Well, you can eat in your class because you're at home because it's virtual. So you're able to. It's difficult. I would say it's very difficult to stay focused, especially since you're home. You have your bed next to you. You have the TV over there. There's a lot of distractions, but being able to keep up with your time management and your accountability, kind of like what we said, using all those tips combined will help you succeed in this virtual learning. Hopefully it won't be virtual any longer. I'm crossing my fingers, but yeah, just take all the tips that we've kind of given you and then kind of put it all into one, and you'll hopefully succeed.
Honestly, know that you can do it. You really can, and it's gonna seem really difficult. Like I found it also difficult too, because I felt really disconnected from everything. I barely knew what day it was, so definitely reminding yourself what day it is helpful. But I just like Taylor said, accountability. The minute you let yourself skip one class, you think it's going to be fine to skip all your other classes, and don't let it get there. It's going to be really tough to like force yourself to sit in front of a computer and just be present, but do it. That's honestly the only advice I can give. And I'm gonna take my own advice to always go to class. But yeah, it's gonna be tough, but definitely just know that you can do it and make sure to keep yourself present.
Yes, definitely. Like I fell victim to the not going to class, right? That's like, oh man, I didn't go to class for the last two classes I should go, right? Definitely, I feel like for me it was really difficult to switch to a virtual, right? Because there's some things where I have to write things down in person. Like the professor has to has to talk to me in person, right? And it's just really different. But of course, we had to adapt, so I had to get used to it. And I think that what helped me the most is make a routine. I think making a routine definitely helps, just because you're always, since you're following the routine, right? You know what you're doing, you know what you're expecting. And I think not succumbing to not like skipping classes, like how Elisa said. It's like definitely like you need to make sure that the routine's there, because if you don't have the routine, it's all gonna fall apart. So also don't sleep late. Definitely, if you think that you could just wake up 10 minutes before, I did that too sometimes, but yeah, don't try to maintain that sleep schedule.
Definitely setting up a routine really helped me as well. Going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, setting up that workspace for you as well. Sometimes we'll say, yeah, I'll study on my bed for a few minutes. We're all guilty of it, end up falling asleep. But definitely finding that workspace for you will definitely help you as well. I think that wraps up our questions for the panelists.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to our panelists and everyone for giving us those tips. I hope you found that really helpful. And that was it for our structured questions. I want to note that we are close to time, but we will stay and answer some of the questions that we've had come through our question and answer. So thank you everyone for being active in the chat and in the Q&A. And to our panelists and to my co-host Val for maybe through those questions for us. But I think now I'll pose one to y'all from the Q&A. And their question is, if you were in a class with unfamiliar students, which I'm sure all of you have been at some point, especially during your first year, how do you all initiate a conversation to start that study group? This person says they tend to be pretty shy and personally have trouble connecting to starting conversations with new people. So what do you suggest to help them get started with those relationships?
So I think this is I'm sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I answered way too many questions already. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So Taylor mentioned that this specific topic, it requires a lot of different perspectives because a lot of people have different experiences beginning these kind of conversations. One of the things that I took a liking to is kind of just emailing people directly. As a freshman, I too was shy and I didn't really want to talk to people in my class, especially upperclassmen. It was just like, eh. So going online, going on Titanium especially, because you can see all the people in your class. You can just message them directly. For example, I had a history course and this kid, he just kind of started a group email and he's like, hey, I'm having a study session. If you want to come, please join. And it's really as simple as that. And then from there, you kind of build those, academic relationships and like helping one another in that class. So if you're shy, like I used to be, then I recommend just going for the email and seeing what they say.
I was just gonna kind of add on to that actually. Simply introducing yourself is probably the best way to start something. Saying you find by you taking that first step, you're whether you're shy or obviously you don't know the person. So of course there's always gonna be that nervousness in you. But just simply introducing yourself, because you guys are in the same class. I mean, you guys are going to go through the same stuff. So then, and by you ending up introducing yourself, you're able to make a friend. And then later on, you have a study buddy. And then later on, you're able to talk about homework. So it initiates multiple things, multiple factors that can help you succeed in that class, along with the new friend that you made. So yeah, emailing, just saying something, anything really. And then you're able to find something you connect with, and then there you go. You have a study buddy, or you have multiple friends in the class too. So yeah.
Let me share a little secret with y'all. We are all shy and we all want friends, and it's very difficult. So yes, we all would love for everyone to just introduce themselves and say hi. And honestly, you're going to be the hardest on yourself because you're going to think, oh, they don't want to talk to me. They definitely think I'm, whatever. But I promise you, they don't. They really don't. That's something I had to keep telling myself too. I was in a class that I had one student next to me, and he ended up introducing himself to everybody around him. And then we ended up being this big study group, and I still talk to them to this day. But it really took that one person. And I know sometimes it's going to be really hard to be that one person, and I hope to be that one person someday. But yeah, believe that you can be that one person.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to move into another question that we have, just to be respectful of our time. But another question that we have is, what are some tips on staying focused or being more productive with your schoolwork?
Okay, so this is I love this question. So some tips I could give for you to be more productive with schoolwork is to set your phone aside. Having your phone next to your computer during a Zoom meeting, or having your phone next to you while you're trying to do a reading assignment, and then you get a notification like, you're gonna look, you're gonna check, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna be unproductive looking, and then you're gonna have this continuing 5 to 10 minute interruptions throughout your entire study session, which will add up to like 30, 40 minutes. And now you've wasted 40 minutes because your phone was right next to you. So what I always do when I really need to get a lot of work done, I put my phone in my bedroom, and I have my assigned study space, which is outside in the desk. And I just sit there and I just work it out, and I read the reading assignments, and that's how I stay focused and productive.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle. But like Greg said, kind of getting rid of distractions helps. But some other people were talking about using a study app. I also use timers. I'll time myself and say, okay, for the next 30 minutes, I'm just going to work. And after that 30 minutes is up, I'm going to take a break. And that has been really helpful. But definitely setting your own schedule and finding your own way. And it's going to take some time to figure things out, and that's totally fine. You have the time to figure it out. So yeah, but also reaching out to other people and seeing what they find is best for them and kind of getting their thoughts is helpful too.
I think definitely prioritizing school helps as well. Before, for example, if your friends ask if you want to hang out, but you have an assignment due, I definitely, a tip I always give my sister when she asks me is I do what I have to do first for school, and then after that comes my free time, or if I want to hang out with my friends, and I can do that. But definitely always make time for yourself, but as well as finding that balance and doing your schoolwork as well will help you succeed.
Awesome. So I really quickly, because most of the time, like during the regular school year, I'm an academic coach. So some things that I think are important to think about, and just for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and go over. But it's going to take some trial and error at first. So be kind to yourself as you figure it out. But you need to figure out whether or not you work best in the morning, in the afternoons, or in the evenings. So when do you have the most energy to focus on those things? Who do you like to do it with if you like to study with anybody? Do you get the most work done better by yourself? Is it different when you're writing a paper versus studying for a test? What are the different types of tests that you need to study for? So just try different things, switch it up and see what works best for you. So whether you like to work in a group, morning or evening, those sorts of things. Another question is, other than the ones we have mentioned, does anyone have any helpful websites or apps that have improved your academic life?
I'm going to even say this right now. You have the app on your phone or iPhone, the clock app, setting on the timer. It's as simple as that. Just setting a timer for 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes to just do your work simply, and it's done. And then the timer will go off or something, and then you're able to go do whatever, take a break, take a sip of water, go get a snack, and then you set it for another 15 minutes so it keeps on studying. So clock app, simply, if you don't want to download a study app, because there's multiple ones. I think Time is another one that does kind of like that too, kind of the same concept. But if you don't want to download a study app, simply the clock app is probably the best app. Yeah.
I also recommend music. I think a lot of the other OLs here or orientation leaders here also can attest to this. Music is great. I listen to some of that lo-fi music and kind of get myself in the mood to just start studying. But yeah, if you don't like silence or you can work with noise, I recommend using music to help you.
All right, anybody else want to add anything or have any other thoughts before we move on, or questions you'd like to ask? Thanks for sticking around. I know we're a little bit over time, but I hope this info was super helpful. And honestly, like, if you have any more questions, we're still here to answer them for you. So.
Right. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, so if anyone has any other questions, maybe you don't think of any right now, or if you think of one later after you review this, or if you watch this back again on YouTube, feel free to reach out to us via any of these other platforms listed on the screen. So we have our social media. We're particularly really active on our Instagram, and we post a lot about our upcoming events. So if you want to stay up to date on what we're offering, you should definitely follow us at CSUF Orientation on Instagram. There's also an orientation email address on the screen you can use for any specific orientation questions. Like, for example, your online orientation will be opening up soon, so that's an email that you could contact. And then the Fullerton website has a frequently asked questions section that could be helpful too. So, and honestly, if you find any of us on the social media, I'm sure we'd be willing to help you with anything that you might need. Because we're all here to help you, and we're really happy that you're here, and we really appreciate you coming. See if make sure somebody answered your question. Cool, Sammy got your question, but please feel free to DM us and let us know if you need more details, and we can help you with that. Okay. Honestly, please feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you so much for our consistent viewers who have been so supportive. Like I said, these will be available on YouTube. So if you just type Titan Orientation Programs into the search bar, you should find us. And we'll hope to have the rest of our webinars up within about a week's time. So put that notification bell on so you can be notified when those are available. Our other webinars covered a lot of details about living on CSUF, like things to do, food, lots of information on parking and the commuter spotlight and all those sorts of things. So please feel free to watch those back. They have links in the descriptions as well. So exactly, Sammy, like, subscribe, share, and click that notification bell. Thank you everyone so much for coming. Please let us know if there's any other way we can help you, and we really appreciate you coming. You have a good rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.